Sydney is named after Lord Sydney, who was British Home Secretary when Captain Arthur Phillip and the First Fleet arrived in January 1788. In a letter, Phillip described the colony in Sydney Cove as having the finest harbor in the world, in which 1,000 sail of the line may ride in the most perfect security. Aboriginal people have a much longer connection with the harbor, dating back at least 50,000 years before Phillip chose Sydney Cove as the site of Australia's first penal colony. At the time before 1,500 Aborigines were living on the foreshore. Lachlan Macquarie was the first governor in the New South Wales, or NSW, Australia's first state. Lachlan restored order and charted a new course for NSW as a free society. By the 1870s, Australia's population had tripled. Now, more than 180 nationalities call it home.
Sydney is the capital city of New South Wales. Sydney is Australia's most populous city with an estimated population of over 6 million people. The metropolitan area has about 650 suburbs that sprawl about 70 kilometers to the west, 40 kilometers to the north, and 60 to the south. People move in and out of Sydney every year, but the number of newcomers usually exceeds that of people who live. Based on our research, Sydney population will reach 6.40 million by June of 2022. We use end of June each year due to Australia's Bureau of Statistics, or EBS. Always follow Australia's financial year when push the data. The calculation is being based on average growth of 4.4% over the last 10 years since 2011. We believe using the recent year's figures will make the estimation more accurate.
Have you ever wondered how safe the tourist or migrant to visit Sydney, Australia on their vacation? With a safety rating of 66%, Sydney ranks the 4th place in the most safest place to visit, next to Zurich, Hong Kong, and Tokyo, Japan. The incidence of tourists falling victims to violent crime in Sydney are very low. Sydney is like any major country. It's not crime-free, but I can assure you that this is relatively safe, particularly in the main tourist areas. Crime and accidents are very low. Road rules are enforced, cameras and security guards are public transport feature, and the city is policed and detailed with CCTV. Due to the pandemic, tips for travelers in Sydney: follow the protocols decided by health units. Avoid touching your nose, mouth with and wash hands. So what are you waiting for? Get ready yourself, discover something brand new, and enjoy the world of Sydney, Australia.
Sydney, city capital of the state of New South Wales, Australia. Located on Australia's southeastern coast, Sydney is the country's largest city, and with its magnificent harbour and strategic position, is one of the most important ports in the South Pacific. The first sight of Sydney, whether from the sea or the air, is always spectacular. Built in low hills surrounding a huge harbour with innumerable bays and inlets, the city is dominated by the bulk of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, one of the longest steel arch bridges in the world, and the Opera House, with its glittering wide shell-shaped roofs that seem to echo the sails of the many yachts in the adjacent harbour. The intricate confusion of water and buildings makes a striking impression either by day or by night. Because of its history as a great port and its status as the site of the country's main international air terminal, Sydney is perhaps the only city in Australia with a genuinely international atmosphere. Yet, it remains a very Australian city, with a nice compromise between its British heritage and the South Seas attractions of its climate and environment.
Top 10 places to visit in Sydney, Australia. Museum of Contemporary Art. It is an Australian museum solely dedicated to exhibiting, interpreting, and collecting contemporary art. Wildlife Sydney. It is a wildlife park in the heart of the city of Sydney. Sydney Tower. Sydney Towers is Sydney's tallest structures and the second tallest observation tower in the Southern Hemisphere. Sydney Olympic Park. It is also an official suburb of Sydney, commonly known as Olympic Park but officially named Sydney Olympic Park. Royal Botanic Gardens. Royal Botanic Gardens in Edinburgh is a world-renowned scientific center for the study of plants, their diversity and conservation. Sydney Aquarium. Sea Life Sydney Aquarium contains a large variety of Australian aquatic life. Darling Harbour. It is also a large recreational that is situated on western outskirts Darling Harbour on the Sydney Central Business District. Bondi Beach. The sweeping white sand crescent of Bondi is one of Australia's most iconic beaches. Sydney Harbour Bridge. The Sydney Harbour Bridge is a steel-through arch bridge across Sydney Harbour that carries vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian traffic between the Sydney Central. Sydney Opera House. It is one of the 20th century most famous and distinctive buildings.
Members Dempstein D. Espinajon Lino C. Arengo Cyril Jake C. Ramjan Rainer M. Florcius Urgi Cabanes.